Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going deep. Really, like looking up at the stars and wondering what it's all about deep.
Mm,
We're going to be diving into this idea that, our everyday lives are connected to something way bigger.
right.
This like ultimate source of goodness and beauty. And to explore all this, we're going to be looking at excerpts from On Beauty.
Yes, On Beauty by Plotinus,
Plot.
a major philosopher from the 3rd century.
Oh yeah, and deeply influenced by Plato.
Yeah.
But before we get too far, I have to admit, when I first saw this title, I was picturing, like beautiful paintings, beautiful landscapes.
Right.
But Plotinus, he takes beauty like way beyond that.
He does. Plotinus didn't limit beauty to just physical things.
Uh-huh.
He saw it in music and ideas, virtues, even in the soul itself.
So it's less about what looks nice and more about what is nice.
Exactly. It's like, when you see a beautiful building, it's not just the overall structure.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. It's also the beauty of the individual stones. The way they come together, the artistry in each little detail.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And Plotinus was fascinated by that, how the beauty of the parts contributes to the beauty of the whole.
And he even compares these beautiful things to like images and shadows of a higher beauty.
Yes, and it's like they're reflections or hints of something even more beautiful, but we can't quite grasp it directly.
Mm-hmm.
He believed that all these beautiful things, that we see in the world around us,
Yeah.
they're pointing toward a single source of beauty.
So like beyond the physical, something we can't see with our eyes.
Right. And to explain this, he uses this analogy.
Okay.
Imagine a sculptor, chiseling away at imperfections in a block of stone to reveal the beauty hidden inside.
Mm-hmm.
Plotinus thought we could do the same with our souls.
Oh. So we're like these rough stones.
Yeah.
And we can beautify our souls by purifying them.
Yes.
But like, what are we purifying them from?
Well, he argued that our souls, they become dirty when we get too focused on material things.
Yeah.
And lose sight of that ultimate source of beauty.
Oh, so we get like distracted
Yeah.
by all the shiny objects.
Right.
And forget what's really important.
Exactly. When we get consumed by earthly desires, like wealth or status or pleasure, it throws our souls out of balance. We
Mhm.
fixate on the temporary and forget about the eternal.
Okay, that makes sense. So to reconnect with that source of beauty, we need to cleanse those infected parts of our soul.
Right.
But like, what would that even look like in our lives?
That's a great question. What might be holding us back from experiencing that deeper beauty? That connection to something greater.
Yeah.
For Plotinus, the answer lay in the virtues. Virtues like temperance, courage, and wisdom. He thought they acted like purifiers for the soul.
Like a spiritual cleanse.
Yeah, they help us break free from those kind of lower desires and reconnect with something much higher.
So it's not about denying ourselves everything, just about, finding a healthy balance.
Right? Like temperance.
Yeah.
It's not about deprivation. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're not ruled by your craving.
You're in control.
Exactly.
Okay. And courage, I guess that's about facing those things that, we kind of shrink back from.
Mm-hmm.
The things that stop us from being our best selves.
Yeah. It takes courage to look inward, confront our imperfections, those infected parts of the soul that Plotinus talks about. And it takes courage to stand up for what's right even when it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And
wisdom. That seems like the key to it all. How do we even know what's truly good and beautiful if we don't have wisdom to guide us?
Absolutely. Wisdom is about seeing things clearly, understanding the deeper meaning behind our experiences.
Right.
It's about making choices that lead us towards that ultimate beauty, that connection with something greater than ourselves.
Okay, I think I'm getting it. We need to cultivate these virtues to purify our souls and reconnect with that source of beauty. But there's still something that feels, I don't know, a little abstract about all this. What does it actually look like to live this way?
Well, imagine you're standing at a crossroads.
Okay.
On one path, there's like immediate gratification. Maybe it's indulging a craving, taking the easy way out, or chasing after something superficial.
Yeah.
And on the other path, there's a choice that might be tougher in the moment, but it aligns with those virtues we've been talking about.
So maybe it's choosing like a healthy meal over fast food, or standing up to a bully even though you're scared, or speaking the truth when it's uncomfortable.
Exactly. Those everyday choices might seem small, but they're actually like microcosms of that larger journey Plotinus is describing.
Because each time we choose the path of virtue, we're actually choosing to align ourselves with that source of beauty, that one that connects us all.
Yes, each of those seemingly small choices is a step towards purifying our soul, chipping away at those imperfections, revealing that inner beauty that connects us to something much larger than ourselves.
It's like every act of courage, every moment of self-control, every wise decision we make, they're all like little beacons shining back to that source.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And as we make those choices consistently, as we cultivate those virtues, we start to experience a shift in our perception. We see the world differently. We become more attuned to beauty, not just in external forms, but in everything.
So it's not just about seeing beautiful things, it's about seeing beauty in everything.
Exactly. We start to experience the interconnectedness of all things. We see the beauty in simple things, like a flower blooming, a kind act, a moment of stillness. We realize that everything is a reflection of that ultimate beauty, the one that is the source of all being.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all of this fits together. It's about recognizing that we're not just these isolated individuals, but part of something much larger that connects us all.
And it's about realizing that the journey back to that source, back to the one, it's not just this abstract philosophical concept. It's something we can experience in our everyday lives through our choices, our actions, our way of being in the world.
But I gotta admit, there are days when this whole idea of connecting with the one feels so far away. Like I get caught up in the daily grind, the stress, the distractions, and I totally lose sight of that bigger picture.
I think we all feel that way sometimes. It's natural to get caught up in the day-to-day, but what's important is to remember that connection is always there. It's like a pilot light always burning, even when we forget to tend to it.
So how do we tend to it? How do we rekindle that flame when we feel disconnected?
Well, for Plotinus, one of the key ways is through love. But he wasn't talking about romantic love or even love for our friends and family.
Oh.
He was talking about something much deeper, a love for the beautiful itself.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this love for the beautiful. How does that work?
Think of it this way. You see something beautiful. Maybe it's a sunset, a piece of art, a person radiating kindness. You're drawn to it, right?
Yeah.
It evokes a sense of awe, of wonder, maybe even a longing to experience that beauty more fully.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Sometimes I see something beautiful and it's like this ache in my heart, like a yearning for something more.
Exactly. And that yearning, that longing, that's the seed of love. It's what draws us towards the beautiful, towards the one.
So it's not just about passively admiring beauty. It's about actively seeking it out, wanting to connect with it on a deeper level.
That's right. And for Plotinus, this love for the beautiful, it's the driving force behind our spiritual journey. It's what motivates us to purify our souls, to cultivate the virtues, to reconnect with that source from which we all emanate.
So it's like love is the fuel that propels us forward on this journey back to the one.
Yes, and as we nurture that love, we start to experience a profound shift in our perspective. We see the interconnectedness of all things. We recognize the spark of the divine in every living being. We realize that we're not separate from the one, but a part of it.
Wow, that's pretty powerful stuff. But I gotta admit, it's a lot to take in. How do we even begin to cultivate this kind of love? Where do we start?
Well, Plotinus had some pretty specific ideas about that, and they might surprise you.
Specific ideas, huh? You got laid on me. What did he say?
Well, he believed that contemplation was key.
Contemplation.
Yeah, he saw it as a form of active seeing.
Active seeing.
Not just passively, looking at something, but really engaging with it, pondering its beauty, tracing that beauty back to its source.
So it's about being present, mindful, really taking the time to appreciate beauty wherever we find it.
That's a big part of it. But he also believed that true contemplation, it leads to action.
Oh.
When we contemplate beauty deeply, it inspires us to actually embody it in our own life.
So it's not just about gazing at a beautiful sunset. It's about letting that beauty inspire us to live more beautifully.
Exactly. It's about bringing that beauty into our actions, our relationships, our way of being in the world. We become conduits for that beauty, allowing it to flow through us and touch everything we do.
That makes me think about the virtues we were talking about earlier. Temperance, courage, wisdom. Maybe those are the tools we use to express that beauty in our actions.
You're right on track. For Plotinus, living virtuously wasn't just about being a good person.
Yeah.
It was about aligning ourselves with that source of beauty.
Becoming more like the one.
Yes.
So every time we act with courage or choose temperance over excess, we're actually participating in this larger process of beautifying the world.
Precisely. It's like each virtuous act is a brushstroke adding to this masterpiece of a more beautiful world.
Wow, that's a beautiful image. It makes me feel like even small acts of kindness or moments of self-control, they can make a difference.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progress.
Right.
Plotinus himself, he acknowledged that this journey back to the one, it's a lifelong process. There will be times when we get distracted, when we stumble, when we lose sight of the path.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. But how do we find our way back when that happens?
Plotinus would say that's where love comes in again. That yearning for the beautiful, for the one. It's always there, even when we're lost in the darkness. We just need to rekindle that flame.
So how do we do that? What are some practical things we can do to reconnect with that love, to find our way back to the path?
Well, he suggests practices like meditation and contemplation.
Okay.
These are ways of quieting the mind, turning inward and listening for that still small voice within that guides us back to the source.
So creating space for stillness,
Yes.
reflection, reconnecting with that inner spark of the divine.
Yes. And it's about consciously choosing to surround ourselves with beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Plotinus believed that beauty has a real power to uplift the soul, whether it's spending time in nature, listening to inspiring music, appreciating a work of art, or even surrounding ourselves with people who embody those virtues. All of these things can help us stay connected to that source of beauty.
It's like creating this little sanctuary for our souls, a space where we can remember who we truly are and where we came from.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And remember, it's not just about passively consuming beauty. It's about actively expressing it in our own lives.
Right.
Through our actions, our choices, our way of being in the world.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. I'm feeling really inspired to go out and find more beauty in my life, to cultivate those virtues and to rekindle that love for the one. But I have to admit, it all still feels a little daunting. Where do we even begin?
You begin right where you are with this moment.
Okay.
Notice the beauty around you, even in the simplest things. Choose an action that aligns with a virtue, even a small one. Spend a few moments in quiet contemplation. Each step you take, no matter how small, is a step towards the vura, a step towards that source of beauty and goodness that resides within you.
That's a really empowering thought. It makes me realize that this journey back to the one, it's not about some far-off destination, but about each and every step we take along the way.
And as we walk this path, remember Plotinus's words, "Let us depart from hence and fly to our Father's delightful land." It's a journey of homecoming, a return to that source of love and beauty that is always calling us back to itself.
Thank you so much for guiding us in this incredible deep dive. I think we've all learned something truly valuable today. And for those listening, remember, the journey doesn't end here. It continues with every conscious choice we make, every moment of beauty we create and experience. Keep seeking, keep striving, keep loving, and may your path be filled with the radiance of the one.